You're listening to Bowl Game Radio with Bruce Binkowski and Mark Neville on San Diego's sports leader, the mighty 1090.
Welcome back, everybody, to our second segment of Bowl Game Radio here on the mighty 1090 and the San Diego Bowl Game Media Network. I'm Mark Neville along with Bruce Binkowski. And a reminder that Bowl Game Radio is brought to you in part by National University, a private nonprofit university with 6 campuses in San Diego County. And San Diego County Credit Union. It's not big bank banking, it's better.
And we have 2 big bowl games coming up in San Diego this December. The 10th annual San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl, Tuesday, December the 23rd, featuring a team from the Mountain West. And if Navy wins this weekend, the Naval Academy. And you can bring the family for this 10th anniversary celebration. The UT San Diego Family 4-Pack includes 4 plaza-level tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 sodas, and a game program for just $150. Call 619-285-5061 to order your family 4-pack. And then 4 days later, the 37th annual National University Holiday Bowl, once again at Qualcomm Stadium, 5 o'clock kickoff on the 27th. America's most exciting bowl game, the Pac-12 against, for the first time since 1994, the Big Ten Conference. And get your tickets. Visit San Diego Bowl Games.com for not only the National University Holiday Bowl, but also the San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl.
I think we got a couple good bowl games coming up here. And don't forget to like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter using @HolidayBowlGame or @Poinsettia Bowl. And we're now on Instagram. Look for us at SD Bowl Games. And you can listen to interviews and segments from Bowl Game Radio on YouTube. Simply go to our website, SanDiegoBowlGames.com.
And now it is my pleasure. We're very honored to be joined by a very good friend of ours, a good friend of the National University Holiday Bowl and college football in general, the Mack Brown, the former Texas Longhorns head coach for many, many years, also at Appalachian State, Tulane in North Carolina. And Coach Brown revitalized the Texas football program and the North Carolina football programs. And in 2008, his 200th career win, making him the first Texas coach to reach that mark. And 3 of those victories were in the Holiday Bowl. Mack Brown, thanks for joining me. Bruce Binkowski along with Mark Neville.
Hey, Bruce. Hey, Mark. How are you guys?
We're great, Coach. Good to have you with us. And it's great to be able to talk to you about college football. And we want to start out by talking about your experience with our game, the National University Holiday Bowl. 5 trips to San Diego. 3 of those were victories. All of the games were exciting. And so we thought we'd take you a little walk down memory lane to get some of your memories of those games. So let's go back to 2000. Your first appearance in San Diego. You lost the game to Oregon 35-30, but there are some great highlights. In fact, our favorite highlight is Victor Ike when he ran a 93-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. Do you remember that one?
I do remember that, Bruce. And let's go back. Mike Bellotti was the head coach. Oregon was trying to win 10 or 11 for the first time in their school history. We were excited about playing Oregon. It was a tremendous crowd, but I also remember Jeff Tedford was the offensive coordinator, and he had a throwback to the quarterback who is now an analyst for TV.
Joey Harrington.
Yep. Fooled our defensive end and at a touchdown that ended up putting them ahead. And then we actually dropped 2 or 3 passes with great receivers, Roy Williams and B.J. Johnson and Sloan Thomas at the end of the ball game. But it was a great game, and I was always proud that most of our games were very typical of the Holiday Bowl games. They were high-scoring games. They were fun games and really good for college football.
So you lost that one 35-30, but you came back the next year in what may be the most exciting bowl game in our history. And it was a 27-7 you scored 27 points against 7 for Washington to come from behind and beat the Huskies 47-43. What do you think of when you look back at that game?
I remember we lost to Colorado in the Big 12 championship game, and we would have played for the national championship. And we changed quarterbacks, and Major Applewhite in his last game threw 3 interceptions in the first half. And we left him in the game. We were down 20 at the end of the third quarter and ended up coming back with a great win and scoring right at the end of the game. And then I think there were like 42 seconds left, and Washington even had another chance to score. And that was against Rick Neuheisel, and they were really high-flying at that time. And I was so proud of those kids because as disappointed as they were in the 2-point loss in the Big 12 championship game, a lot of times after you play in a championship game lose, it's hard to play in a bowl game with an edge. And our kids came, they played very hard, they played well, and won right at the end of the game.
And, Coach, I got to tell you, I saw Coach Neuheisel a couple weeks ago, and we talked about this game. This loss still hurts him today.
I know. Well, anytime you have a come-from-behind win as a coach, you feel so good because your kids kept playing and they overcame a lot of adversity, and your staff did the same. They didn't split. They didn't give up. Likewise, when you're way ahead and you lose, and all of us have done that, you feel twice as worse, I think, that you lost a game that you felt like you should have won.
You know, Coach, I have two fond memories of that game in 2001. The first great memory I have is I remember when your team landed, and we have our big welcome at the hotel, as we always do. And I remember you walked up to me, and that was my first year as executive director. Believe it or not, that was 14 years ago, but that was my first year as director. I know it. Way old.
We've been around a lot.
We have.
I'm gonna bite my tongue right now.
Yeah, please do. Okay. But I remember you came up to me and you said, "Hey, just so you know, even though you could have been in the national championship game, you said, hey, we're happy to be here and we're going to put on a great show for you guys." So that was my first memory of that, which was a great attitude for the University of Texas and your staff and everybody. But then I remember at the end of the game when you had that huge rally, the way the players were reacting on the sidelines, it was if they had won the national championship. I'd never seen a team react so enthusiastically with that big comeback. So
there's no doubt, Bruce. And part of that is the Red Coats, the Volunteers, the way you guys put on a show for people when they come to a bowl game. I can tell any coach and any staff and any set of players that anytime you go to either of the bowl games, but specifically the Holiday Bowl, because I've been there, you don't get treated better anywhere. And people just reach out and you have fun. And what a great city in San Diego. You love the stadium. Games are always exciting. And I hate that the Big 12 is not going to be going back there because of the experience it gives for the kids.
Well, and you're listening to Bowl Game Radio. I'm Mark Neville along with Bruce Binkowski, and we're talking with the legendary coach, Mack Brown. And Coach, going back to that game in 2001, Major Applewhite, 37 of 55, 473 yards. You talked about those 3 interceptions, but he had 4 touchdowns as well. What was that game like for him?
Well, it was a great finish. He had a great career early. He was National Freshman Player of the Year. He hurt his knee. Chris Sims came in. There was a lot of controversy on which one should have been playing because Major was a local hero. And he just was such a nice young man and had the red hair. He was such an underdog because he was not very tall and he wasn't very fast, but he just played well. And then Chris Sims played very well and did a lot of good things for us. Major came back and nearly beat Colorado in the Big 12 championship game. But for him to finish his career at Texas with nearly 500 yards passing and coming from behind in the fashion that he always did in the early years, really kind of put the cap on his career at Texas and made him leave with a great feeling.
So the first 2 games, 35-30 you lose, 47-43 you win. In 2003 you come back to play Washington State. You lose a tough one, 28-20. And that was an interesting game because Washington State's punter was the defensive most valuable player. If you recall, he knocked 5 punts inside the 13-yard line. You had to start 5-6 drives in bad field position.
Yes, that was interesting because if you remember, we were going to the Fiesta Bowl to play Ohio State if Oklahoma had beaten Kansas State in the Big 12 championship game. Kansas State kills Oklahoma. And then Oklahoma goes to play in the national championship game, and Kansas State goes to play Ohio State. We'd never been to the Fiesta Bowl, so we were going back to the Holiday Bowl. And the kids hung in there, and they did pretty well. But Vince Young had the flu. He had a sore wrist, and he didn't play very well, so Chance Mock came back in the second half. But that was a really, really good Washington State team that had a couple of close losses, and I don't think anybody gave them the credit. And then I remember we're driving at the end of the game. We have to score and go for 2, and we just don't make it at the end. But give Washington State credit because our guys really fought hard, but I thought that was the worst that we played of the 5 games.
The head coach that year for Washington State was Bill Doba. He actually tells kind of a funny story about that game when he was on his buses with the team in traffic on Friars Road by the stadium. They did not have a police escort.
Which by the way, was their fault.
Yeah, that wasn't our responsibility, right? But here comes this escort with buses, and here comes Texas going right past them, 45 miles an hour, right into the stadium. And Coach Doba said, look at that. They get the escort. They're getting the special treatment. We're still here in traffic on Friars Road. Let's go get them. And he used that as motivation to beat you guys.
Actually, Coach Doba apologized to me later because he said, I kind of blamed you guys for that, but we used it as a good motivator for our team. So, you do what you got to do.
He used it as a good motivator, but they were really good, so he didn't really have to say anything because they had a good football team.
They did. Hey, Coach, we've run out of time in this segment. Would you be willing to stick around a little bit after the break and come back for one more round?
Sure, I will.
All right, that'd be great.
All right, you're listening to Bowl Game Radio here on the San Diego Bowl Game Media Network and the Mighty 1090.